Hello and welcome to another opening series where we are going to cover this time the Maltese this time around. Where, as always, you always want to get your crates, wood, food, and coin as soon as possible. Try to get 4 on the food crates to get a villager queued up immediately, and 1 on wood and 1 on coin. Because the faster the merrier, as always. Now, there are 3 different openings. If you are not confident in your treasure herding, treasure micro, treasuring in general, then do not go for this opening I'm going to show you now. Rather, go for the market or a trading post start and get the trading post or the market in transition. What depends on what start you're going to go for. The easiest is going to be the market start, since you do start with 100 coin. What you then will do is you gather 75 coin in total, where you then going to buy wood and then collect the last remaining of coin to then get the hunting dogs ready. Or if you are having, for example, like I did, those 2 wood treasures, you can just get the wood, gather a bit of wood, and then get the hunting dogs that way. Or if you go for a trading post start, you leave the coin crate on the floor, gather 200 wood, be it via the wood treasures, or manually in order to get your trading post up. Depends on what you prefer. So this summer we're going to cover the market and trading post start. Again, it is only recommended if you are having at least 3 treasures worth of resources, or 1 small treasure and 1 big treasure worth of resources. Either coin, wood, or food, doesn't really matter what of those. So we are going to definitely need a market ASAP, a market and a house. The market we're going to need in order to buy ourselves 100 wood, and we also want to get hunting dogs in H1 as well. So I calculated this clapped, which means we have already 150 wood in our bank, which is why I research hunting dogs ASAP, since the earlier you research the hunting dogs, the more value they get. And this one is another 44 wood treasure, so I already collected 80 wood. So we only have to collect 30 wood. So we still need our house. And we're going to need 125 coin, which is needed to buy ourselves 100 wood. And that way I get myself 200 wood in order to get myself a trading post. I even get another wood shed out here, so I can switch those villagers on wood to coin. So I can buy a bit of wood with 125. Little bit of idle time, so not the perfect H1. Which could have gotten an idle time from 310 down to 3.5. With like a perfect H1 micro. But we all are just mortals and do mistakes here and there. Alright, there's my trading post. I put it in the middle, because we are going to be the aggressors this time around. Since if you see on the opponent's deck, it's going to be the good old Brit GMT build. Usually, you want to go, there are like 2 different kinds of openings. The one where you skip German tongue, and the other one where you do go for German tongue. I, for this time around, went for the other variation where you don't go for German tongue. So if you do go for the German tongue variation, do not gather for steel traps in transition, unless you already have enough treasuring did in the H1 to get yourself up to 125 coin. If you don't, then don't go for steel traps in transition, like I did this game around. If you go for the German tongue opening, get all your villagers on wood in transition, get gang sword, research it as immediately as soon as you hit the H button. Get 2 villagers on your herding, so your commandery is protecting those 2 hunts. Because the commanderies work hand in hand with Wignaker construction. What Wignaker construction does is that it gives you 10% across the board on all natural gathering resources. And what it also does is, as you see here, villager gather rate work in near rate buildings plus 20%. Means that when you see like a little circle around the villagers, you see I go for gangs immediately. And now we are going together for steel traps and a... don't need a house. Only for steel traps, since our hospitals are only costing 100 wood each instead of 200. We are always going to aid with the quartermaster no matter what, because quartermaster gives you the most bang for your buck. This is my kind of all-around deck where I mostly go for the third age. However, if you go for the strat I show you, it's very important to have the 600 wood in your deck. So I fixed it in later time, since I picked the Civ without checking the deck, and looked kind of decent to me. You can remove the Cecilian Supply or the Flintlock Rockets in order to get a 600 wood in instead. Or even you can remove Victory also if you don't like that card, since I'm always that kind of greedy of a player. You can also remove the Vittoriosa for 600 wood, or even 12 crossbows if you don't fancy those. Alright, the first shipment is always going to be, either if you're going to go for the German tongue or not, is going to be 700 wood. And since I do go for the aggressive opening, I do get my seed early, since all my villagers are going to be on food. And this wood here is only going to be used for housing and our army. I did let them a bit idle. Not the greatest thing, but I wanted to make sure that I collect those wood plates immediately. Ship is now on the way. Do have another shipment available, which would usually be 600 wood, but since I don't have it, I will going to get myself Witness Constructions, since it's a 30% eco bonus across the board. And do you see that my pikemen have an extra 5 hit points? Keep in mind that each shipment you send gives all of your Maltese units, that excludes the tongue units by the way, so all your own units that you train out of hospitals, out of artillery foundries, not out of commanderies, only of those two buildings, of the hospital and the commandery, and of course the dock and your villagers as well. See, I set another card so I get another bit of hit points. Then I have plus 8 hit points. A way to memorize that is imagine that if you have a commandery, that it works a kind of trading post where you hire your troops. Order Hussar, Order Dragoon, Order Gadokista, Order Longbows, all those you hire from somewhere else. These are not your own units. You order them to come to you. What are these? You train yourself. Anything that has an order before the name is not included in the 2% hit points. And also your ships also get ships and artillery also get 1% of your hit points approval. So even your artillery can get quite beefed up. So since we don't have 600 wood in our deck, I have to send 700 coin in order to go for some sentinels. Keep in mind that sentinels cost 2 population each, so you need to pay close attention to your housing population. See them as like one kind of sort of hussar. See them as one hussar worth of population. And if you're fighting GMT hybrid, there's a number of ways how you can damage them. The first way of damaging them is, as I did, siege on this outpost to slow down their reinforcements time. The second way you can hurt them is killing the trading post, as I did. And the third and last way to hurt them is to either push them at NH2, deny them of the church, and of course try to idle them as much as possible. And one neat thing about those sentinels is that they are actually getting a roughly 7% attack boost on when they are fighting around buildings that can shoot. Command centers, outposts, and commanderies. And in terms of your army in H2 composition, you're pretty much almost always going to want to go for your bow pike composition, since in H2 you have those archaic soldier attack and archaic soldier hit points, which you can beef your pikemen and crossbowmen up quite substantially, since they also get the 2% bonus off of your combat cards as well. So it's a 17% hit points and 15 attack and 2% hit points on your pikes. Alright, since our main threat at the moment is the Falconets, I am going to build myself this set commandery, where we can then build those order hussars. One thing also to keep in mind that everything that has order in front of the name, besides of the order galleys, anything that has an order that you train off the commandery does a shadow attack, and is 10% more expensive, has 10% more stats, and trains 10% slower. However, they shadow attack into the next ages. What shadow attack means is, instead of paying for your upgrades to upgrade them to the veterancy status, or the guard status, or the imperial status, anything that comes out of the commandery is going to be upgraded for free into the next age, which is pretty handy to not have to pay for your upgrades that route. And you see what I mean about the circle here? Since this circle means that they are affected by weak network constructions, which is then giving them the 30% gather rate bonus. And this is what I mean. They previously had 22 attack, 23, and now they have 26. They had 23, right? The two is slowly seeing down my training post, town center. I still have a lot of time to recover from that. Still takes a numbers of shots to get this down. I did one bad job. I should have focused down the Falconets from the town centers rather than the infantry surrounding it. So I now call my Minutemen to help me defeat this threat over here. I try to bait out the musketeers in the front so that my hussars can go for the flank in the back. But as I didn't even need those, because those sentinels have such high base attack. If you have like a decent amount of sentinels, you can try to brute force on killing the cannons. And I did a bad job at not having those militiamen under that fight over here. Okay, you see the attack goes from 26 down to 24. So it is a 10%, 7%, yeah, round about 7% attack improvement on around buildings that shoot. There's also a church card where you can actually get this bonus on your opponent's buildings as well. So you can bring this bonus to your opponent. It is kind of neat. So I'm now getting my build upgrades, just in case he's trying to raid me. And those builders are also getting quite beefy, since it's also applying to the settlers. The bonus from the Maltese. Alright, so now that we diminished the main threat of our opponent, now it's on us to make sure that he doesn't really recover from this loss. So we're going to try to see where he's going to gather from, since I don't really have much information here on where he's at the moment, because we don't know if he's on this hand. We don't know if this is a comment, but now I see that he's on that comment, so I'm going to go for some niche pike raids. Long was doing some pretty good DPS, but there's not enough of them to really do a threat. See that he chip a fort, but this was not really protecting anything. I don't scout it, and I now do scout it. But I'm kind of happy about this fort positioning, since it doesn't really protect anything. But if you go for his point of view, and press Alt, you'll see that the only thing this fort is really protecting is this berry bush, and kind of this coin mine. Only kind of, because I can still raid him with raid units from the north. Oh, his base. I try to item as much as possible to slow down the second technology from the church, which is giving him... Like, can only reach it in range 4, is it? The Royal Rangers. He's looking for 8 settlers, since there's not really consent here to be a threat to me. So I now go to age up to 3, which I chose the bishop option. Remember that I sent his hospitality, which is cutting the age up time in half. So pretty much aging up with the exile prince, with the bonus of the usual age up bonuses. I age up with the bishop because I do want to go for an eco play right here, where I go for a second town center to make the army advantage I have in the second age, and still have to convert that into an eco advantage. Even go for Victoriosa, so I don't have to pay as much more villagers, as here they're only costing 50 food each now, rather than the 100. And it also makes town center cheaper by 30%, so only costs 300 wood instead of 500. And another neat thing about hospitality is that you only have to pay 50 wood and 50 coin for all your hospitality unit upgrades. So only paying 50 wood and 50 coin rather than the 200 wood and 200 coin for all my infantry. Besides of those hoop throwers. I call them hoopsies. I now go for a Mascas composition kind of thing, because my hussars do shadow tech to 3. Yes. And I did not card my bows up. You can even go for like a Scrap Dragoon composition kind of thing, where you go for your crossbows and Order Dragoons rather than the Order Hussars. Ready. I now go for Advanced Artillery, which is putting an immense amount of pressure on the opponent. You see, I'm not letting him to go to 4. He's still 500 foot short. I'm trying my best to not let him do that for free. I know it's sitting at the church, since I know there's still one technology available that he would love to get, the 20 Royal Ranger one, for roughly 2,000 coin. Yep, I see. I try my best to idle the opponent as much as possible without losing too much of my own military. And the mortar would have pretty much dealt with that spore in no time. Not that it was protecting anything to begin with. So yeah, that was the Maltese opening, the non-German tongue version. But I think I did a good job at explaining what you would go otherwise with the German tongue. The TLDR version is the card order for, if you want to go for German tongue, is going to be 3 settlers, in tradition German tongue, into 7 wood. You're going to need that wood in order to make your villagers and your settler against one's commandery. Into 700 coin, where you then want to age up to 3. And then proceed on whatever you need. Either 1000 wood if you want to go for some town center play, for fixed gun if you need to defend yourselves, or having a nice choke point where you can fortify your position in. And keep in mind that the depot, if you would have built around, is increasing the fire rate by 10% of all gunpowder units and also gunpowder buildings. Includes town centers, includes commanderies, includes outposts, it also includes a fixed gun. However, if it gets destroyed, it can hurt you in the back, because it damages your own units as much as it does your opponent's units. They will not decide if one unit is friend or foe. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you for this video. I hope you liked it, hope you enjoyed it, hope you learned something new. I hope it was educational, and then I will see you in the next one.